Sexual violence is an uncomfortable topic, but one that cannot be ignored. From celebrity scandals to alarming incidents both overseas and here in the United States among young people, recent news shows that this issue can affect anyone. Let's look at some statistics. In the US, someone is sexually assaulted every 2 minutes, adding up to nearly 300,000 every year. And over 2/3 of assaults are committed by someone known to the victim. 44% of victims are under 18 years old. And an astounding 98% of rapists will not spend a single day in prison, mainly because most are never reported to the police. But not all is bad news. Strong voices are rising to say enough is enough, and victims who previously never had a say are now being heard. In this special episode of Teens Wanna Know, we explore some of these voices, as well as discover ways teens can get involved in preventing sexual assault. In our first stop, we join a group of teens at the San Diego Jewish Film Festival, where the Emmy-nominated film Brave Miss World was being screened. This hard-hitting film documents the story of Linor Abargil, the former Miss World who has become a crusader against sexual violence and justice for victims after her own rape and difficulty in convicting her attacker.
Rape is so isolating. Because even if you tell people what happened, they're afraid to mention it. So you're surrounded by silence.
We spoke with some of the attendees, and here's what they had to say.
What do you think needs to happen to reduce sexual assault among young people?
It's a great question. We live in a rape culture where women are objectified on a daily basis, and the most important thing is to get the word out and to have those conversations. People might shy away because it's an uncomfortable topic, but you have to ask yourself why it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable because it shouldn't be happening, and it is happening. So let's have that conversation. Let's have it with young people so we start a revolution of people that are going to make a difference and people that are knowledgeable and aren't going to perpetuate that culture of rape.
I think definitely the biggest thing would be education. It's such a taboo topic. And I feel as though if we continue to make these films accessible and just get programs rolling in schools for people to be aware of what to look for, we'd be able to minimize the risk for young teenage women.
I do think media sets unrealistic standards for women, and some music is misogynistic and derogatory towards women, and that takes power away from women and makes them subject to violence.
We both think it's relevant to I guess what's going on in society right now, and it's an important thing to know. Some parents think it's not really something that teens should be watching, but even though we think it's something that people should be informed about and ready to take on if it ever comes their way.
It's a very powerful film. It's a story of a woman with incredible strength, incredible resilience, who obviously undergoes an incredibly traumatic experience, but uses her pain and her anguish to translate it into something good. I think the media has a great responsibility to help men and women understand how to talk to each other. I don't think the media is very helpful when it promotes and shows us images that only affect negatively how women feel about themselves, how men feel about themselves, and encourages miscommunication. So if the media can do anything right, it would be to help all of us understand each other better by not giving us mixed messages about what's real and appropriate between guys and girls.
What do you think is the best way teens can help prevent sexual assault?
I think the biggest thing is having an awareness of what consent is. That is the biggest misperception, is that consent means is that all I have to do is wait to hear no. And if I don't hear no, then I have consent. I have that permission. But consent is really about having that active person, making sure that they want that sexual contact, whether it's a word, a sexual comment, or a touch. Sexual assault is a big umbrella, and it's not just that one, like the big R word, rape. It's a bunch of different things underneath it. And so I think that if people understand that not everybody wants that kind of attention, then we can prevent sexual assault from happening.
Joining us from a stop in Milan, Italy is Linor Abargil herself, who was gracious enough to answer a few questions for us.
My advice to anyone who was raped is to speak out,
and not to feel ashamed. It's not your fault. And to try to move on with your life and seek for help and go to therapy and really try to move on. I think the big impact that I made since I've become an activist is that people know that they're not alone. That people feel that if I did it and I wasn't ashamed to speak out, they can. I would like to see more women like me speaking out. I would like to see the justice system change. And I would like people to talk about it more. I want society to talk about it more. I think what I learned through the years doing this film is that the situation is much, much worse than what I thought. And rapes happens almost to anybody, almost to anyone. And I realized that it's harder than I thought before to change that. Women don't speak, men don't speak for years. And it's really, really hard than I thought to change reality.
What makes Linor remarkable is that she did not let this incident break her. She went on to win Miss World just 6 weeks after her assault, and is now one of the most prominent advocates for rape victims. Here are other well-known people who also recovered from sexual assault to build successful careers. While males are not immune, females are especially targeted. The UN estimates that an astounding 1 billion women, yes, that is a billion, will experience some form of violence or sexual assault in their lives. To address this, 1 Billion Rising is a movement which encourages dancing, singing, and celebration to empower women and end the cycle of assault around the world. We covered the 2014 event held at the CBS Studios backlot with Jane Fonda. We got to speak with Jane, but first, here are some of the highlights.
$1 billion rising means each of us, in our own way, dancing, speaking out, educating others, demanding justice. It's going to change the way women are treated.
We're here together to rise up, to say enough is enough, the violence has to stop, and it has to stop today, right now. Yeah, exactly. It's our problem. People say it's a women's issue, it's this person's problem. This is a human problem. Yeah. In order for it to stop, we need everybody involved, especially teenagers and young adults, especially teenage guys. So it's even better that you're here. That's who we want to get involved, because they don't realize that they're the people that are shaping the future and the way violence is going to be. And if we can get all of them here and teach them at a young age how to treat a woman,
and it affects them too, you know, the daughters, mothers, etc.
Absolutely. And so I think it's really, really important to get younger folks involved.
Hey, we're here with legendary actress and activist Jane Fonda. So tell us about your involvement with 1 Billion Rising.
Well, in the late 1990s, a playwright named Eve Ensler wrote a play called The Vagina Monologue. And for the first time in history, a little play became a global movement, raising over $100 million to stop violence against women and girls worldwide. And last year, we got the figures from the United Nations that at least 1 billion women and girls on the planet have been raped or beaten in their lifetime. And so Eve, she's so fierce, she said, well then we're going to organize 1 billion people to rise up to say no more violence. against women. And last year, over 200 countries participated. I mean, and this year the same: Croatia, Bangladesh, Peru, the Philippines, you know, Israel, Palestine. It's just incredible.
It is.
Yes, it's amazing. And, you know, the focus is on dancing and singing, you know, because when you dance, you're in your body, and it changes the energy, and it changes the ether around you, don't you think?
Yeah.
And so that's that Debbie Allen choreographed a dance, and a woman, a music person named Tina Clark created a special song. And we've been watching feeds from all over the country all day long, and it's so exciting.
So like you said, 1 Billion Rising seeks to prevent violence and sexual assault against women. What do you think is the best way teens can help prevent that?
You're at the gateway of adulthood, and I think the fact that you're even here covering this event shows that teens can care, and they should, because, you know, unfortunately, most of the violence, especially the sexual violence, is against women by men. And so, as young men, it's important that you spread the word that, you know, being a man has nothing to do with being violent or being mean. You know, it's this toxic masculinity that tells men that if they're dissed in any way, you know, even if it means the wife is late getting the dinner on the table, then she gets beaten up. You know, this kind of mentality about what masculinity is has to stop with you, with your age group.
It's harmful.
It's very, very harmful. It's not just harmful to the women that get beaten or raped. It's harmful to the men. It hurts their humanity as human beings. And so young people thinking about this and putting themselves on the line, boys and girls, is critical, because you're the ones that are going to have to carry on, you know. You're tomorrow. You're today too, but you're going to determine what the world is like tomorrow.
Now it's time for our time machine question. If you could travel back in time and give one piece of advice to your teen self, what would it be?
No is a complete sentence.
There's no magic cure to sexual violence. However, there's a lot we can do to prevent it, and it all boils down to a matter of respect. Respect limits. Respect personal space in other people's bodies. Respect your body. Most of all, respect the word no. Like Jane Fonda said, no is a complete sentence, and unless there's mutual consent, then any sexual contact is not okay. Period. I'm Michael Pena, signing off for Teens Wanna Know. Thanks for watching.
Hi, I'm Linor Abargil. Thank you for watching this special episode of Teens Wanna Know.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're watching Teens Want to Know. Stay tuned.